What if you fell into Jupiter? Brace yourself, because this is not a gentle plunge into a soft, fluffy planet. Jupiter is huge. It's the biggest planet in our solar system, with a mass more than 300 times that of Earth. But there's no solid ground to land on, just layers upon layers of wild storms, toxic gas, and crushing pressure that would make you feel like you're being squished into a tiny marble. First things first, let's say you're approaching Jupiter. From a distance, it looks amazing. Those swirling clouds, they're massive storms. The Great Red Spot? That's a hurricane 3 times the size of Earth that's been raging for at least 350 years. And you're heading right toward it. There's no parachute that can save you now. Once you start falling, there's only one way to go, straight down. As you enter Jupiter's upper atmosphere, things might still seem okay. At this point, you'd be floating through a layer of hydrogen and helium. It's chilly up here, around -145 degrees Celsius, which would freeze you faster than an ice cream left in the Arctic. But let's say you've got a super suit to keep you warm and safe from the icy atmosphere. You're not out of danger yet. In fact, you're just getting started. Falling faster now, you'd reach a zone of thick clouds. Imagine thick, dense clouds all around you, so thick you can't see a thing. These aren't your normal rain clouds either. They're made of ammonia and water vapor. It would be like jumping into a chemical soup, and trust me, you don't want that in your lungs. But you're not just falling through clouds. The winds here are blowing at insane speeds of over 300 miles per hour. You'd be spinning and tumbling, whipped around like a rag doll. Try not to get dizzy. Now, you're a few hundred kilometers down. The pressure is starting to build, and the temperature's going up. You might feel like you're in a giant pressure cooker. By this point, the temperature could be over 1,000 degrees Celsius. That's hotter than the surface of Venus, and enough to melt some metals. You'd be sweating, but sweat would boil right off you. But hold on, the deeper you go, the more intense things get. You're reaching the point where the atmospheric pressure is so powerful, it starts crushing the very molecules around you. The hydrogen gas begins to transform, turning into something called metallic hydrogen. It's wild. Metallic hydrogen is dense, and it behaves like a metal, conducting electricity and forming a shiny, strange liquid layer. Imagine falling through liquid metal, not exactly your dream dive. You're now thousands of kilometers into Jupiter's atmosphere, and you're probably feeling more like a pancake than a person. The pressure here is millions of times stronger than what you'd feel at Earth's surface. If you had bones left to crush, they'd be crushed into dust by now. But let's pretend you've got some kind of indestructible armor, just so we can see how far you can go. The temperature now? Over 10,000 degrees Celsius. That's hotter than the surface of the sun. You'd feel like you're inside an oven set to maximum burn, with temperatures soaring and no way out. The heat and pressure would make even the toughest metals turn to goo. But it's not the end yet. Somehow, you're still falling. What's next? Well, scientists believe that if you could fall deep enough, you might eventually reach Jupiter's core. But what's at the core of this monstrous planet? Good question. Most scientists think it's a super compressed mix of rock and metallic hydrogen. But honestly, we don't know for sure. No human-made probe has ever survived the journey. In fact, even NASA's Juno probe, one of the most advanced space missions to Jupiter, just orbits around the planet. Getting to the core would take some seriously sci-fi technology. If you somehow did make it down to the core, you'd be in a realm of almost unimaginable pressure and heat. The core could be tens of thousands of degrees hot, almost as hot as the surface of some stars. Here, you'd be closer to the true heart of Jupiter than any living thing has ever been. You'd have survived what no one else could, facing the ultimate extremes of our solar system. But at this point, there'd be no way back up. Jupiter would have swallowed you whole, like a fly caught in the thickest, stormiest soup ever imagined. So what if you fell into Jupiter? Let's just say you'd have a very, very wild ride, a terrifying tumble, and a squishy end in the depths of the gas giant's belly.
Here, you'd be closer to the true heart of Jupiter than any living thing has ever been. You'd have survived what no one else could, facing the ultimate extremes of our solar system. But at this point, there'd be no way back up. Jupiter would have swallowed you whole, like a fly caught in the thickest, stormiest soup ever imagined. So what if you fell into Jupiter? Let's just say you'd have a very, very wild ride, a terrifying tumble, and a squishy end in the depths of the gas giant's belly.